Hi everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Perry Mattfeld in the house. Good to have you here. How are you?
So nice to meet you, DJ.
Good to meet you. Congratulations on In the Dark.
Thank
CW.
you. We just
rolling.
got a season 2, which I'm so excited about.
That's big.
That's huge.
So many shows get canceled, and with these upfronts,
I know.
especially this week, you see the shows that don't make it, shows that make it to another season, the new shows that come through. So
There's also so much content, so it's so
Yeah.
competitive, you know, and getting a show on the air is hard enough. So getting a second season is a big deal.
and getting people to talk about your show too, because like you said, there's so much to watch, and your show is interesting. Honestly, I haven't seen it yet, but
Okay.
I'm intrigued by it because it's a different type of character.
It's very
and
different.
a very different storyline. And for you, this is your first big role in leading a series.
It
So
definitely, yeah, it's
how
my
did it
first
all-
time kind of carrying something like
how
this.
has it been for you?
Well, I will say, I personally think I have the best cast on television. But I was initially kind of drawn to this script because it was different than anything I'd seen or read before. You know, how can it make you laugh and then in the next scene kind of make you choked up? And then I also loved that there's this raw kind of anti-hero at the front, you know, not a typical perfect female. And I loved that, and then let alone, you know, it also has this aspect, this physical aspect with blindness
Right.
that was another challenge and something I was drawn to as well.
Definitely. And you mentioned just kind of the messiness of the character.
Very messy.
You think about how
That's probably an understatement.
Yeah. Well, you think about how women have been portrayed on TV for years, and here's Murphy. It's like her life's not all together. She's figuring things out.
So our writer, Corinne, who's brilliant, she said that growing up, she never felt like she related to the women that she saw that were celebrated.
Right.
You know, in episode 3, there's a scene that we talk about getting your period for the first time. Sorry, DJ, but
No. This is
That's
stuff to talk
also-
about. Yeah. This is real
I
life.
think the first time that's ever been talked about on network television. So she wanted to make something that was real and that was a little more raw, and she wanted to create a female character that is strong and vocal and not necessarily perfect.
Right. And there's
Murphy's probably a pretty extreme version of that,
sure.
but that's what she wanted.
But listen, girls are going through that all the time.
Yeah.
And some girls it happens a little earlier, some girls a little later. You need to talk
If you have a
about it.
daughter, you're gonna
Yeah.
go through.
It could be in the future. We'll see what
good.
happens. So when you think about your experience on the show, obviously playing a blind person is a very difficult thing. So what have you learned so far, and what have been some of the challenges?
Yeah, we have, so the story is loosely inspired by Lori Burnson, who is our blind consultant on the show. She's also part of the writer's room. And it was not only just a learning experience for me, but for our entire crew. You know, we had guide dogs on the set a lot, and we also have Callie, who's another lead on our show, who's blind as well. So not only working with them as actors, but just, you know, I had never even set foot in a guide dog school before this show, and now I go all the time. So the entire crew got to learn and be educated about this, which I think is really awesome.
Even just tapping into some of your other senses, because it's like we try and listen all the time, but when listening and smelling are the main things you
Well,
have to
and
do,
just
it's a
thinking
totally
about
different game.
there'd be blocking stuff, and it was good to have Lori there as well, you know, just to specify. I would watch her do some of the blocking, and then I would try to mimic what she did. But you know, the directors, even some of the directors would be like, oh, it'd be great to have Murphy, and then, you know, so-and-so walks in, and Murphy looks back, and then we'd be like, well, unless there was some sort of sound, she wouldn't necessarily know that someone was standing behind her. So that added a whole nother layer of thought to everything.
Yeah, there's these little subtleties you have to make sure you hit, because if you don't, then it's going to be really challenging to say this is what the real life experience is like.
But they wanted, you know, Lori, who's so awesome and so special to the show. We have Ryan Knighton, who's a writer as well. He's also blind in our writer's room. But, you know, they love the fact that, at least with In the Dark, blindness is not the subject.
Right.
It's just another perspective.
Yeah.
So
Just a part of the story.
it's just a part of the story.
Yeah.
It's just one of the characters, you know? So that's a little different too. We're just adding another level of diversity that's not necessarily talked about as often.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
And there's dogs everywhere, so that's just
That's always a
that's
great
the
thing.
best thing ever.
So what's been the best part about working with dogs?
Levi, who is an actress. She's not a guide dog, she's an actress. She is the love of my life. Everything about her is perfect. Her breath smells good.
Oh, wow.
She's got it all. She's just the most, I mean, I used to think my own pets were cute. They're not after Levi. You know, I think my dog that he could speak on command, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, when we're rolling, when you're shooting, you can't necessarily, the trainer V, she can't necessarily give vocal cues to the dog. So she has to do hand signals to get Levi to, you know, chin down or something, or a whine, or like a paw or something like that. And that's all done silently.
That's
so
really
the dog almost knows sign language.
That's something you don't even think about.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was hard sometimes when I would have to be kind of like I'm mean to the dog a little bit in the beginning. Also sets up a journey for somewhere for us to go. But when we'd cut, I would pull Pretzel aside and I would say, you're so talented, and you know, just so you know, that's acting. I love you. I'm proud of you. You bring so much depth to the character.
Right.
So I think she appreciated that.
So what's it been like for you tapping into maybe a little bit of a darker side?
It's part of what I think is one of the greatest things about being an actor. I've always been drawn to character roles that require me to. There's parts of Murphy that are like me. It's funny to watch with my friends and family because they'll say, that is so you, like my physicality is something I do, but Murphy's so not me, you know. But I got to learn about her, and I got to obsess about her, and definitely wore on me a little bit.
I'm sure it did. Yeah. How do you separate from that? Like, do you still carry it with you when you're offset? How did it wear on you?
That was one thing that in acting school, I had a professor who said, you know, being an actor is a little bit like being an athlete. You need to have the stamina to switch on and off from that. You need to be able to turn that off. Because if you do carry it with you, especially if it's darker, I mean, episode 6 in particular, In the Dark, is heavy. And I remember feeling a little down just because I was being required to get to that place so many times for so many takes and so many angles. So learning how to be Perry and be Murphy and switch that off is important.
Yeah, it's not easy, especially the repetition of takes. You have to do it over
People
and over
don't
and
even
over
understand,
again.
like, oh.
It's like, it's not just a one-shot deal of a really messy scene.
And then they're like, that was great. Now, for the next scene when you're crying, can you, like, go further? And I'm like, yeah, just 1 second. Just get there.
I got to start over. Actually, we're going to take it from the wide angle now, as opposed to the tight. It's like, oh, okay, sure.
Oh, yeah, and then they're like, okay, you know, when you get emotional, and then they're like, oh, that was just the wide. I'm like, well, then I would have saved it. But
can we just tighten it in post, maybe?
I know. But that's another thing, too. So that athleticism, like, I was so wiped out after.
Long days, emotional journey experience.
I mean, our cast is so good, and Brooke, who plays Jess, I mean, she's so talented, and I feel like what's special about this cast is everyone set up each other to look better. Like, I felt like I was there to make Brooke look good, and she was there to make me look good. Like, we're just teammates. We have such a strong, really, really talented cast.
That's awesome. So this is a cool experience. What are other great experiences you've had where people have really impacted you, or you've just learned a lot about the business and yourself as an actor?
Emmy Rossum is a role model to me. I spent quite a bit of time with her on Shameless, working with her on Shameless, and she's so, granted she's done Shameless for 9 years.
Yeah, so long run there, yeah.
She's obviously, you know, face of that show, huge part of that show, but watching her, she's so aware of everything that's going on around her. She can tell if they're adjusting a light. She knows that the sound guys are setting up. She knows how many takes we have left before we get to that close up or get to the reverse. Like, she's not just doing her job. She's just so present, and she's intelligent, and she's bold, and with a character like Murphy that is so bold, I felt inspired by how strong she is, and that's another very strong female character that has, you know, is a role model for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And
so I had a little bit of an opportunity to kind of learn from her rawness as well.
And a character that's had some staying power as well in that show. So you went to USC.
I did.
So when you think about yourself in college, compared to now, what have been some of the surprises of your journey about the business? Some things you never anticipated when you were just graduating?
I say this all the time, but I am so glad that I went to school, for me personally, because as many actors know, and not just actors, directors, writers, anyone in the industry, you know, I didn't know I was going to have to pick up and, I shouldn't say have to, I didn't know I was going to get to pick up and move to Toronto by myself to go make a show.
Yeah.
But I went by myself with my cat to Toronto, to a city I've never been to before. So the inconsistency, and I mean, you don't have coworkers that I see every day. I don't have a beanbag that I get to go check out in my
You got to
office.
take that with the cat next time.
Yes, like that's what I'm saying. So I think what's been so special for me is my people from USC, my friends from USC, my professors from USC, my sorority sisters from USC. That's my foundation. I have that. That's one thing that's constant. Whereas, especially in our industry as an actor, I think I was surprised by how much time I was alone in my car on the 405, just like, wow. Well, you know, like
No, it's a really
it's
a
not
solo
only
experience at
isolating.
times.
Yeah, it's a solo experience, and it's inconsistent. I mean, I can't necessarily look more than a couple weeks in advance.
Right, because you have this thing now, but you don't know what's going to happen with the show. You don't know what's going to happen after the show.
We just found out about a season 2, which
Yeah.
was the best news ever.
Definitely.
But, you know, I thought maybe I'll just get a beanbag and sail away.
A
I
cat,
don't know.
a beanbag,
Me and my
a
cat.
car. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So, looking through your IMDb, you did a little Wizards of Waverly Place back in the day.
No, man.
What was that experience like for you?
My friends still pull up that picture of me as Franken-Girl.
I had
all
to
the
pu-
time.
I had to pull
if
it up.
If a guy ever like come like at a bar, is like, hey, like, what's your name? My girlfriend's be like, she was Franken-Girl. I'm like, you guys, can you just, please?
You're like, thanks, guys.
But then I think, you know what? That was a character actor as well.
Yeah.
That was something that was far from myself, and that was probably one of the most fun I've had with the role.
I'm sure it was.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. No, there's nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed
Plus,
about.
that was a really good show.
It was. I
So,
enjoyed watching it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And then got to be on it. But trust me, I will never live that down.
It lives on
I
the internet
still have
forever.
the forehead somewhere that
Yeah.
I wore on that show. They were like, do you want this? And I was like,
Sure.
okay, yeah, I guess I should take it. I wore it for Halloween one year. So.
Do you keep other
That's
stuff?
embarrassing. I probably shouldn't.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I wore it for Halloween.
Do you keep other things from your other experiences that you've done?
Murphy wears a red hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all the time, and she doesn't care that much what other people thinks of her, but she has this one hoodie that's like her signature. And for the premiere, Corinne, we all watched the show at Corinne's house, and she had 4 boxes of different sizes of red hoodies. So everyone was wearing a red hoodie, and I got to keep mine, and I throw it on all the time. But that's a little something that, you know, that's again that difference between Perry and Murphy. And
Right.
I throw on that hoodie, and that's a little piece of Murphy.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if people haven't checked it out like me, what's the reason to jump in, and what are they going to get once they do watch it?
You'll be surprised by how hilarious it is. I've gotten some messages on Facebook from people that said, like, I spit out my rice all over my computer. Someone said I was eating like a rice bowl or something, and it got all over my computer because
Wow.
I like busted out laughing. I think it's awesome that you can't necessarily pin it into either a drama or a comedy. There's nothing else like it on TV. It's a murder mystery, but it's also so character driven. So it's a lot about these relationships that Murphy has and why her self-destructiveness affects the people around her. While being a heavy drama, but one of the funniest dramas I've ever seen. So
I like it.
it's different, it's special, and we have puppies, so I mean, I don't know.
It's a good look. I also like that you're answering people on Facebook still. That's nice.
I love that people reach out to me, and you know, we were talking a little bit about the commentary, and I'm not sure that the Kardashians are able to read through their 7 million comments, but I still do, and I do get to see some of them, and especially the ones that stand out to me, or the ones that have said, you know, hi Perry, my name's so-and-so, like, I relate to Murphy. I feel for her. That episode haunted me. It moved me, or I love how strong Murphy is, or I have this kind of relationship with my mom. I mean, we make stuff like this to make people feel. So when people reach out to me and tell me that it made them feel, that makes me feel so good.
Yeah, and those are the ones that trump the negative comments, because those are
Of
in there
course,
too.
they're in there too.
Yeah.
And I, you can stop reading completely, which most people tell you to stop reading
Sure.
completely, but then I miss out on the majority of them that are so kind. And that's what makes me remember, like, why I do this is to make people feel and to make people relate and see a little piece of themselves in something.
And most of these people wouldn't actually say that to you face to face.
No,
like the
and
negative
I don't even know if they think I'll see it. 'Cause sometimes
Right.
I respond and then they're like, hello?
They're like,
oh my
"Oh,
God.
wow, it's
Okay,
you?"
well, I do have other questions. But I'll just say thank you, and I'm happy to hear from you. And
You have a good spirit about it, I could tell.
I appreciate those. I wrote to Mahershala Ali one time on Instagram because I saw him and I got so nervous I didn't say anything
Where
in
was
person.
this?
He lives by me in Venice,
Okay.
and I saw him. I was eating a breakfast burrito, and he had just won the Oscar for Moonlight.
Yeah.
It was the Sunday after. I was sitting having a breakfast burrito by myself, and he was walking with his groceries to cross the street, and all I needed to say was, "Hey, congrats!"
Yeah.
Or like, "Awesome job! I'm an actor too." Not even that much. I'm an actor. You're an actor. Wow. I don't know, something. And I saw him in person, and I just froze. So I messaged him on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, you'll never see this, but I have a lot of regrets. I had so much to say. I'm so proud of you. I'm so impressed of you. You're a role model. You're a mentor to me. Congrats on winning an Oscar." He didn't respond, but that's okay.
We got to get the response. Come on.
One day I'll ask him to read it out loud.
Well, you go
If
through
I ever get to meet
you go through the same experience as everybody else. It's like, here's a person, even though you're in the business.
That's
you
what
still
I'm
couldn't say hi
saying.
to him.
I mean, I freaked out. I think he was just so handsome, and then he just won the Oscar, and I think everyone around me was like, "Oh my God, it's Mahershala
And he's
Ali."
just carrying groceries like a
He
normal
was just
dude.
waiting across the street with his like romaine and some like chickpea pasta. I don't remember, but I said nothing.
Wow.
Anyways,
Are there people you've met that you've actually been able to speak to that's been a better experience?
I've tried to get a little better about it. I still even struggled though. Ben Stiller's a producer of our show, and I even struggled when he was on set. I had a hard time even. I shouldn't fangirl, but there I was.
No, but you've seen this guy for years.
Of course.
And it's a hard thing to
And
just
it's
jump
Ben
into
Stiller.
conversation. Yeah, what are you going to just jump into conversation? You
Yeah.
want to just say, hey, I loved you in X, Y, and Z.
I feel like it's almost worse if you like don't address it.
Right.
If I was
It's
just
the
like,
elephant
so
in the
where are
room.
you from? Like I
Yeah.
can't do
Oh, like,
that.
hey, what have you done in the past?
Yeah.
Be like, no, then you're just clueless.
So what
Like,
are some of your hobbies? Like you can't ask Ben Stiller that.
right. You can't be
Maybe
a
you
fangirl.
can.
Can't be clueless. Somewhere in the middle. Just
Somewhere in the
normal
middle.
human
I'm
being.
still trying to figure it out.
Well, Perry, thanks so much for coming in.
So glad I got to talk to
Why don't
you.
you tell everybody where they can check out the show?
In the Dark is on the CW Thursday nights at 9 p.m.
All right, there you have it. That's Perry. I'm DJ. We'll see you next time
Thank
here on
you.
The Sit Down.